What's up guys, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for tuning in again, and I'm so happy to see that you're back, or if it's your first time, welcome. I hope that everybody had a wonderful Christmas time and an even better New Year's Eve, and I know that there's a lot of pressure to have an amazing Christmas and to have an amazing New Year's, and I know that not with everybody it is that way, because maybe mentally you're not in a good place right now, or maybe you have some family issues. But I just hope that in your own personal way you had a good time. So I know that with the New Year's there's a lot of pressure to have New Year's resolutions and to make this year your best year. And I do personally really love New Year's because it does really allow you to plan ahead for the next new year, to kind of see, okay, where do I want to be by the end of spring, where do I want to be by the end of summer, for example. By the end of the year I would like to get my degree, I would like to get a new job, for example. Just kind of guidelines. Do you really think that those guidelines really help you to get motivated and to stay motivated? Hereby I'm very happy to share with you my top 8 tips into making your New Year's resolutions work for you, to make 2020 your year, and to also make your New Year's resolutions stick so that they last. First of all, everything needs to start somewhere, and of course your New Year's resolutions also have to start somewhere. I know I'm personally a little bit late with this video because New Year's has already started. We're already in 2020, but I'm a little bit late. And I also kind of think that this goes with my tip I'm gonna give, and that's that you not necessarily have to start your new goals or your new habits on a certain day. So I feel that a lot of people often want to start something on Monday, because Monday tends to be kind of the beginning of a week for a lot of people. For me it's Sunday. Sunday's my beginning. But I feel like there's a lot of pressure to start on a Monday or to start at the first of a month. But I think that this actually makes it a little bit more difficult to really get motivated and to stay motivated. In my experience, what worked was that whenever I had an idea, I would immediately start it. So when I started my fitness journey, I think I started on like a Tuesday, on like the 17th of a month or something. For me, that just really helped because I didn't really put pressure on myself to say, okay, I have to start on a Monday. I just started whenever I felt like doing it and whenever I had that motivation. And that really helped me as well. So I didn't feel that much pressure on it to start. So that then evolves into my tip number 2, which is to learn from your mistakes. And it's very normal and very common and actually pretty okay to fall off the bandwagon. And I feel that a lot of people then put a lot of pressure on themselves, and they're very sort of negative towards themselves because they say, oh, I only stuck with my New Year's resolution for 2 weeks, for example. I think that what really helps with that, if you kind of are okay with making mistakes and just learn from them. Just say, okay, I made a mistake, this is what I did, this is how I'm not gonna do it anymore in the future, and to just go from that on again. Because to be honest, it does really take practice to really get good at something. My tip number 3 is to set mini realistic goals to reach your greater realistic goal. So with that, it's kind of 2 tips inside one. So make sure that your goals are realistic. And the second tip within this third tip is to make sure that you set mini goals towards a larger goal. So don't tell yourself that you're going to be able to lose 10 kilos in the span of 2 weeks, because that's literally impossible and very unhealthy if you do so. If you, for example, want to lose 10 kilos, set yourself little mini goals of 1 to 2 kilos and then set them in a certain amount of time. So in a certain set of weeks or months even. And then tell yourself, okay, by the end of week number 3, I want to have hit this target goal. By the end of week number 6, this target goal. So that way you really break it down, and it's also kind of easier to look at the global picture then. Because then you can really say to yourself, okay, this is a realistic time set. This is actually possible for me to do. And in my experience as well, it's actually the most fun way, because instead of ticking off one larger goal, what you can do is you can tick off so many tiny mini goals. And that is just so satisfying to me. And that's then the same way as losing weight, for example, with hitting a certain target at the gym. So if, for example, you want to say, okay, by the end of the summer, for example, I want to be able to lift an X amount of kilos. Think to yourself, okay, how many kilos or how many grams even can I add on like a weekly or bi-weekly basis, and then plan it out like that. So tell yourself like, okay, every other Monday I'm gonna check in with myself and I'm gonna be adding 2 kilos, for example, in order to reach that target. So that way as well, when you, for example, you fall off because you get injured, or you have a birthday coming up, or you don't have any time because of work or anything else, it's also easier to get back on it, to get back on track, because you've set these mini goals, and then it's easier to catch up on the mini goals. Or even say, okay, I had a 2-week gap. okay, fine, then I will just reach my target 2 weeks later. So that way it's also easier to hop in again once you fall off. My fourth tip that goes along with the mini goals is to set check-in points with yourself. So that way you tell yourself every 2 weeks, I'm gonna check in with myself, I'm gonna see how I feel, I'm gonna see how I'm getting there, and then based upon that you can always change. You can say, okay, for example, with reaching an X amount of weight, you can tell yourself, okay, I see that I'm losing weight a bit faster. So what I can do is I can actually move my target closer. And a check-in date, in my experience, really helps with staying focused and to stay motivated. And if you fall off of your course, and if you then see again a notification that you have to check in with yourself, that's a good reminder to start again. Because you then have this idea of, okay, I started in the past, now with this timer, I'm gonna start again. So it's a good way also when you fall off to start again. So tip number 5 is divided into 2 sub-tips, and it's the idea to start small and to expand based upon that. When it's your goal to start working out in the new year, say to yourself, okay, I want to start off with working twice a week, for example, and then do that for the first month. And then after 1 month, set a timer for yourself, check in with yourself and say, okay, is it realistic and possible for me to start now moving to 3 times a week working out, and then go on along from that. So the idea of starting small and expanding based upon how comfortable you are with it goes along with sub-tip number 2. And that is not throw yourself into the deep end by saying, oh, in the new year, I'm going to change my diet, I'm going to change the workout routine, or I'm going to start working out, I'm gonna change this, I'm gonna change that, I'm gonna change this. There are just too many things that you want to change all at once, and in my experience that does not work. Nothing good is gonna come from that. So my experience, what I've learned when I started my fitness journey, is that I told myself, okay, let's break it down. Let's do part by part by part, and then slowly expand based upon how comfortable I am. So this started out with me doing yoga 3 times a week. And then I got more comfortable with this, and then after I did a month of yoga 3 times a week, and it still felt good, and I was still motivated, and I was still doing that yoga, I was then starting to focus on nutrition. So I was looking at my nutrition and looking at, okay, what am I eating? What do I want to change? And then based upon that, next to the yoga, I then altered my nutrition. And then I did that for another month. And then a month after that, I started to look at my yoga, and I was like, okay, I'm not really satisfied with only doing yoga. I want to do a little bit more. So then I started to go into weightlifting, and that's how I did then yoga once a week, and then weightlifting 3 times a week next to that, and then still keeping my nutrition in check. So that way I had all these little parts in my life I was changing, but I was gradually making them bigger and expanding the amount of things I was changing in my life. And to me that really helped, because that way I really got to stick to it, and I got really good at the part that I was changing. So instead of changing too many things at the same time and getting really confused with what you're doing, just do one part by one part and just gradually expand based upon how comfortable you are. So my tip number 6 is to buddy up. Find a friend who's also motivated to change their life or to set a certain goal, and do it together, because that way you keep each other accountable, and it's a fun way to do, to socialize and to be with somebody else. And that way, again, as you are motivated and you keep each other accountable, it's also easier to check in. Because if one of you sets a timer and says, for example, we're gonna see each other again in 2 weeks time and we're gonna discuss how good we are, then you can also share ideas with each other. You can say, hey, I'm running into this problem, can you help me with that? Or you can say, hey, I'm running into this issue, what should I do with it? Are you experiencing the same thing? And that way you also stick to it better. So my tip number 7 is to hang up your goals into a place where you see it on a daily basis. So for example, this can be a calendar where you mark down on the days that you want to go to the gym. And once you've passed that day, you can cross that day out on your calendar. And make sure that you, for example, put it on the inside of your closet, because you open up your closet door every single day, maybe even multiple times a day. And then that way, every time you see it, you tell yourself, okay, I have to do this. I am motivated. I can do this. So my tip number 8 in making your New Year's resolutions last is to start to make habits out of your goals. So for me this really helped, because at the beginning of my fitness journey I really wanted to work out and get better and get healthier, but I didn't quite know how to do it. So for me what really helped is to make a habit out of it. So for the first month, every single morning I set an alarm at I think 5:30, and I told myself I would get out of bed and I would get myself to the gym. And the reason for this was because I really wanted to get fitter and to get healthier and to start going to the gym. But the thing was, I was a little bit scared because there were so many people at the gym who seemed like they knew what they were doing. I was just so scared. At the time I was also doing my yoga. I didn't know what to do. I wasn't that flexible and I feel like I looked like a fool. So for me, what really helped was going in the morning before my classes, so that way I had it done with for that day. I didn't have any excuses anymore not to go to the gym today because I would have something else to do. I would just do it first thing in the morning to start my day on a healthy way. And then what I did, I set my alarm and I already put my things ready the day in advance. So that way when I rolled out of bed in the morning, feeling like a zombie, just moving around, I would only have to put on my gear and then just go. I didn't have to think about anything. And then walking to the gym, I was able to wake up a little bit and realize what I was doing. And then think to myself, okay, I set my plan yesterday to do today this and this and this movement, or to follow this video, for example. And that to me really helped to really plan in advance and prepare everything in advance, and that way make a habit out of it. Because it does take about a month at least to make a habit out of something. So thank you again for tuning in this week. I hope that these top 8 tips help you with making your New Year's resolution stick. Let me know on my Instagram or in the comments if it worked out for you. And if you have any questions, you can always hit me up. I really love responding to you guys. Also, if you like this video, make sure to hit that subscribe and that bell button and give me a big thumbs up because it really supports my channel. And I really look forward to seeing you guys next week. So see you. Bye.